Good morning. You join me at Cereals, which is one of the largest arable farming events in the country, and yeah, we're here to get updated as to what's going on in farming at the moment, which is a constant process, and also meet some colleagues to talk a little bit more about the project we're working on at Nent Rivers Trust. So one of the reasons for coming here is to see demonstrations of new equipment. Lots of large arable enterprises will be coming here to see what's going on in farming and what the latest kit's all about. So they have demonstrations throughout the day. And one of the areas that's got a lot of interest is direct drilling, which I've already talked about in a previous video. And there's several different direct drills here. Obviously the idea of direct drilling is that you're planting a seed in the soil without turning the soil over, so you're not ploughing it, which keeps carbon locked up in the soil, which is what we want. So we've got a little demonstration to have a look at. So one of the interesting elements that you get at Cereals is the trial plots, and these are trial plots of particular varieties of seeds that have been planted and then treated in a specific way to try and get a certain yield and demonstrate to farmers how good a sort of variety that particular crop is. So here we've got varieties of oilseed rape, which is looking amazing. Look how dense that is, incredible. And then we've got wheat, rye, some more wheat over here, more oilseed rape, really interesting. And just the thing I love is that it's how immaculately it is drilled, it's beautiful. So it's an opportunity for farmers really to look at different varieties that they might want to consider planting in the next season, and how they will, establish. I mean, look, it is quite telling. I mean, the soil here is, look at that, it's rock solid. Everything here needs some water, but it's like sand compared to our soil at home. So you always have to bear that in mind.
Hi, my name's Richard Phillips. I'm the Managing Director of Aminoa Biostimulants.
Great, thanks Richard. And one of the things that I was interested in looking around is just the diversity of sort of these demonstration plots here. And you were saying in actual fact that this ground is definitely not ideal for growing wheat.
Yeah, I mean this particular site is a very good demonstration of why triticale is much better on this land than wheat is. But basically this is really too light for wheat anyway. And last year the previous cropping wasn't something like legumes, it was actually spring barley, so it should never be growing wheat on here. But actually all the plots look really good until about a week ago, when the last week has really finished them off. But when you see the triticale here, it's looking fantastic. We can see how well it actually it looks.
It's looking beautiful. And has this been treated with, what products has this had?
Yeah, this has had our blast treatment, which replaces a certain amount of nitrogen, plus this has had our seed treatment.
Yeah.
In fact, there are strips all the way through here in the oilseed rape, in the wheat and the triticale. There is treated and untreated with starts.
Yeah. And
what we're finding is that, and at the end plots here are all zero nitrogen, so they're all organic.
Goodness.
I mean, the reason we've got it set up like that is not really for the UK conditions, but what we want to demonstrate is that in places like Kazakhstan, Mongolia, where you have very, very low inputs, you can get a significant yield response from just using the seed treatments.
Absolutely.
And in fact, with the oilseed rape over there, which is actually, it hasn't had anything on it, it's got about 500 pods.
This row, that row at the end?
The end plots, there are 4 plots going up, but the end plot has got about 500 pods per plant, whereas the corresponding one over there, which has only had the seed treatment on it, has got 1,000.
I mean, that's for those of you that don't know, that might be watching this, oilseed rape is incredibly fertilizer hungry. So to get that response from so little is really very impressive indeed. I'd be very happy looking at a crop like that on my farm.
The oilseed rape looks excellent.
Yeah, I mean, it does.
And here, where we've treated with our blast product, which replaces nitrogen, which is 70 kilos of soil applied nitrogen plus blast, or 150, we have like 2,000 pods per plant.
Goodness me.
Yeah, so it's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Well, I'll put some more details up after the video. But yeah, Richard, thank you very much for chatting to us.
No, my pleasure.
Thank you. Well, I think you'll agree that was very interesting, that chat with Richard there. Certainly the use of seed dressings is becoming ever more interesting to farmers as a way of reducing our fertiliser usage. Fertiliser is one of the biggest expenses that we have on farm, and anything that we can do to reduce that. It's also a massive user of carbon as well, so it's a very carbon intensive and oil intensive industry to produce granular fertilisers. So anything we can do to try and lessen that has got to be a good thing. And it's part of the reason why we've got these trial plots here, so that people and farmers can look at different ways of growing crops, different ways of trying to minimise our costs and fertiliser usage. So yeah, all interesting. One of the things that's here, obviously, as well as demonstrations of farm equipment, is demonstrations of 4x4s and farm vehicles. So you can unlock your inner petrol head, as I'm doing, and look at the latest pickup, see how it performs off-road, which is pretty fun, isn't it? Goodness me, look at that.
And so, yeah, in the scheme of things, it's pretty small.
Well, this is really fascinating. This is a robotic tractor that is cultivating this ground. Really interesting to see some of this kit being trialled, because it's obviously cutting edge, brand new stuff at the moment, but you can't help think that this is going to be much more commonplace in sort of 10 years or so. Very, very impressive. And there's a guy controlling it, although it has like a pre-programmed course. I think there's a guy basically with a, you can see over there with a remote control, who's essentially controlling the thing. Does look a bit like a robotized tank, which is a little bit unnerving, but very impressive technology. Let's see how it works. There it goes. Our tractor driver's going to be out of a job. Maybe. One of the challenges in arable farming at the moment, as we all know, is black grass, and it's something I've talked about previously. Now, there are various methods of tackling black grass, from sort of ploughing to chemical controls, although chemical controls are not very effective at all, so farmers really are up against it in terms of having a toolkit against black grass. One of the things that we can do is grow different crops in a rotation, and one of the crops that people are talking about at the moment is rye, hybrid rye especially, which is what's behind me, and it is huge. Look at it. Look, that's up to my shoulder, so way taller than wheat. Wheat would be sort of down to my knees, and this is up to my shoulder. It's amazingly tall, and the beauty of that is it swamps, the theory is, swamps blackgrass and gives you a little bit more control over that way, so you're using the crop to outcompete it. Whether that's the case in the field or not, I don't know. Maybe we should try it. Perhaps we'll grow it this autumn and see what it does. Maybe. Now this is something that's interesting. This is a look at soil texture and the roots of the crops actually in situ, which you don't often get to see. It's a really great little display. Yeah, fascinating to see this, because it's showing actually the topsoil and how much or little we actually have in this country. And you know, you couldn't find a more different soil type to Northamptonshire if you tried. If we look at this, I mean, it's like sand. Look at that. It's so sandy, it's just disintegrating as I touch it. Amazing. But there's only this. That's the topsoil, and that's pretty good, I would say. And there are parts of the country where that would be considerably worse, and that's all we have to grow in. And once that, if we don't have that, if that is gone, then we can't grow food to feed people. That's what faces farmers, and that's the challenge of farming in the future, is how do we make this stuff go further and produce better and healthier and more sustainable crops.
Operator controls easily accessible when standing at the induction bowl, and it's all concealed behind a dirt and waterproof screen. There's a 60-litre induction bowl with an impressive 200 litre per minute draw-out rate, with beds of either 50 or 75 centimetres at the click of a button, without blanket spraying the whole field.
This is another method for controlling the dreaded blackgrass. It's an inter-row hoe, something I'm quite interested in trying on our farm. And it's basically a way of removing the weeds in between the rows of crops. So you've got your rows of crop here growing, and these tines here come along and they essentially rip up the weed plants that grow in between. So you end up with these clean rows in between your planted crop. And this is very sophisticated, this one, because it's controlled by cameras which are mounted in that little pod on top. So each of these individual sort of things moves from side to side to avoid ripping out your crop. So quite impressive, but quite expensive as well, and sadly the government grants don't seem very generous in terms of helping smaller farmers pay for this sort of stuff. So it's a dream for now, but interesting to see how it works. Again, it's another benefit of coming to cereals, seeing all this stuff in action.